Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 and happy day. Whatever day it is that you view this, I hope it is a happy and beautifully blessed day for you. There are a group of gals and people, even men, there are a group of people here in the Valley Fever world that are really committed to helping spread awareness about this illness, because what we learn once we are diagnosed with this illness, that the sooner you are diagnosed, the faster and easier and more likely you are to recover. So by sharing our stories and people sharing them out there and sharing the information and sharing tips, what works for others, we are actually helping save lives, right? Because if we can get the word out about our experience, then we can help others heal. So thank you, David, for joining me today and hearing my Valley Fever Sur-Thriving experience. I am, and even Heidi's here. What a blessing. What a blessing. I have been so blessed with my friends in the past 2 days. I'm going through a little bit of personal, emotional stuff in my life with members of, my world. But as much as that needs to marinate and sit on the shelf, I have amazing people in my life. Amazing people that fill me with love and positive energy. Hi, David. Mr. Pineapple, David T. Hurst. So even though in our lives we might experience negativity, hardships, battles, the more that we remember to focus on the good things in our lives, the healthier that we can be. So I want to open with that. I want to open with my attitude in life about people, about experiences, about foods and whatnot. My attitude is what has got me to where I am today. I promise you that, because I focus on being healthy. I don't focus on being sick. I was sick, 5 years ago, probably because I was still on a pretty heavy dose of an antifungal medication that was horribly toxic for my body. But even still at that time, when I was bedridden most of my life, most of the day, I would spend Monday through Friday pretty much in bed, resting, because I knew that I had a plethora of happiness and joyful things to fill my life with on the weekends. So I sacrificed during the week. I rested a lot, but let me tell you, I lived big on the weekends. And even though I might just be sitting in amongst a party of people, I might be sitting quietly because it took too much energy to talk or dance or interact. I was still somewhere that gave me joy. So finding joy in life is good for your health. So focus on joy, focus on wellness, and that will hopefully be able to get you other Valley Fever people that are battling and winning, hopefully, this illness. Hopefully the joy will get you through those tough times. So I have a list here of some questions that some friends of mine are circulating around for us Valley Fever survivors to answer, to hopefully help others. So I'm going to share my story in answering the questions. The first question, what year was I diagnosed with Valley Fever? I was diagnosed with Valley Fever in 2011, November 2011. I got sick in October. So for 2 months, I was suffering, getting worse, went through misdiagnosis, was given antibiotics, which will help a fungal infection flourish, till I finally went to the eye doctor because I couldn't even open my eyes because of the pain and the light sensitivity. My eye doctor is the one who diagnosed me with Valley Fever. My general doctor at the time, she did not have a clue because I did not come up with the normal symptoms. The city and state that I was diagnosed in is Santa Margarita. I was diagnosed in Paso Robles, where the eye doctor resides, but I live in Santa Margarita, California. That is where I believe that I did contract the fungus, because we do live in an arid area of the county. So fungal spores love to just blossom and then fly around here in San Luis Obispo County in California, because there are a lot of wineries, grapes in the ground, mold, fungus. I also live by a rock quarry where they're blowing up dirt. And I live on a property with oak leaves that land on the ground all year long. They get wet, they get moldy, fungusy. Then in the summer they dry up. And if you stir up those leaves, inhale the spore. If the spore goes in your eye like it did to me, boom, valley fever. What kind of work or activity was I doing when I got sick? I was helping clean the yard. I have a yard that's about 3 acres. And there were some doors laying on the ground for quite a few years. They were out there, and so it was time to clean up the yard. And when these doors were lifted off the ground and thrown into the trailer to take to the dump, this big green cloud went into the air. And I already knew at that time that I'm very susceptible, almost allergic to molds. So I saw the green cloud and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go in. I showered. And about 3 weeks later, I started showing some severe symptoms. And I told my husband I either have lung cancer or pneumonia. Because I never got a cough. I just had a pain. I was always rubbing my chest. And then it got to the point when I laid on one side, I would feel this flapping. Felt like something was flapping in my lungs. So that was the fungus growing. And so that is where I believe that I contracted it. Prior to diagnosis, was I available? Yeah, I was available, all right. Was I aware of valley fever? I had heard from my husband about valley fever because someone that he works with had it. And all I knew was like it was out in the valley, out 45 minutes from us. I did not know that it was so severe in our county. And sometimes, a question comes to us, if I knew about the fungal region that I lived in, would I have moved here? Honestly, if I knew about it, I may not have moved here because I already knew that I was susceptible to molds. But now that I know what I know, knowing that a fungal illness can be controlled by lifestyle and diet, I'm not moving. I haven't moved yet. I was on antifungal medication for 7 years and I'm off of it for a year now, over a year. I'm fighting this on my own and it is in my central nervous system. So I am living proof that this illness can be controlled by food, diet, self-care, detoxing. It takes a lot of steps. I am constantly living in recovery. And when people hear about recovery, they think of alcoholism. But for me, no, it's the fungus I'm recovering from always. And if there are other issues in your life, be that stress or other illnesses, it's not as easy to control like I do. So, that being said, not everybody can live off of the antifungal medication if they're dealing with other illnesses or lifestyle situations that they had no control over. But a lot of immune suppressed illnesses can be controlled with diet and lifestyle. Message me if you want tips. There's tons of them. What health, did you have other health issues prior to my valley fever diagnosis? No, I didn't. When I went into my doctor, she walked in and said, "Do I even know you?" I was like, "Yeah, it's probably been 5 years since I've had a checkup, but yeah, you're my doctor." She's not anymore because I found a better doctor. Because she was not well versed in valley fever, so I just felt she wasn't the one for me at that time anymore. What health issues do you now have as a result of valley fever? Well, I don't know if being borderline diabetic came before the valley fever or after, but I am borderline diabetic because, sugar feeds a fungus. So if our blood sugars are left at high levels, it's really hard for the body to respond in a healthy manner. So I do find that living a diabetic type lifestyle keeps me healthier. My blood glucose came in at 94. So the doctor, he's looking, oh, Glucose is good. Did I go, wait a minute. What's my number? He said, it's 94. I said, what's the window for a healthy glucose level? He said between 70 and 96. I'm like, well, okay, I'm 2 points away from being in the diabetic window, and I live a very, very, very healthy lifestyle. I cheat once in a while because I do my fasting, so that allows me for cheats. But, and when I do cheat, I get fungal flare-ups. I get them. So my body knows, and it tells me, stop cheating so much, Sherry. So I do. Okay. Do you feel that your primary care physician is or was properly educated about valley fever? My doctor at the time, no, she was not properly educated. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I didn't stick around long enough to find out. But now, yes, my current doctor is educated in valley fever because she goes to seminars to further educate herself. Her and my previous, I don't need an infectious disease doctor anymore because I'm not on meds. So my infectious disease doctor that I had for 8 years and my current general doctor go for further education. So I'm very fortunate, very blessed for that. What specialist have you seen due to valley fever? Because I was so fortunate to have a good infectious disease doctor, I did not need a pulmonary specialist, but I do go to a retina specialist because, again, my eye doctor is who diagnosed me with valley fever because it's in my eyes. So for 8 years, I went every 3 months to the retina specialist to have him dilate my eye and take pictures to make sure that the spots in my eyes are not waking up, that they are staying suppressed. That means they're small and they're tiny. They look like a little hole punch. But when my valley fever in my eyes was active, it looked kind of like a cotton ball rather than a hole punch. So, and I've seen a dermatologist because when I eat sugar or nuts, because nuts after they come out of the shell start to grow fungus, if I eat nuts, I get breakouts. You can see it right here. This is from eating nuts. You can't really see it, but it has like a little yellow center. So if you get lesions that look like a pimple or, acne, if it's yellow in color, chances are that is fungal. If it's green, that's bacterial. And if it's white, that could just be a food source. Maybe it's gluten, maybe it's dairy. But mine get yellow when I know that I've eaten nuts. And they come up, there. And I treat them with peroxide, Epsom salt, and coconut oil. I'm like a natural girl. I try to treat everything naturally first. How long have you been on antifungal medication? I was on antifungal medication for 7 years, seven to 7.5 years. I was on fluconazole for 3.5 years, 600 milligrams per day. It's a pretty heavy dose. 400 milligrams is doable without feeling heavy side effects, but 600 milligrams or higher, you are getting a heavy dose, and chances are you're feeling the effects of the side effects, and sometimes the side effects are worse than the illness itself. So I was on antifungal medication, diflucan for 3.5 years. Then because I had lost so much hair, and look at my hair, this is my own hair. I don't have hair pieces in. My hair did regrow back after getting off of the fluconazole, so that's the good news. I was on itraconazole for 3 years. Those side effects could cause heart attack, stroke, and edema. They say leg swelling. I got all over body swelling, so I had to really control my sodium intake. I was trying to keep myself under 1,500 milligrams per day. I did lymphatic stimulation by dry brushing to keep the lymphatic system moving to help the edema stay away. Without the dry brushing, the lymphatic stimulation, I would be really puffy, really puffy. I'm puffy today because I went to 2 parties this weekend, a wedding and a 60th birthday party, so I did indulge in cake. So it usually takes me about 2 or 3 days to detox that sugar out of my body to get rid of the bags. But I've got good lighting, so you can't see them too well. So then 3 years on the antifungal medication, my blood pressure started going too high, which causes the heart attack or stroke. It was 200/88 in the doctor's office, and then he talked to me for a while about vacations and stuff like that, trying to calm me down in case it was white coat syndrome, just being in the doctor's office makes your blood pressure rise sometimes. And by that time we got it down to like 185 over 78. And so he said, okay, it's time for blood pressure meds. So he put me on blood pressure meds. I was on for 3 weeks. But at that time I was also drinking celery juice. Celery juice helps lower blood pressure. It is also antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. So as I'm drinking the celery juice, I was cleaning out dormant old illness issues, whether I had strep throat in years past or, bacteria exposure, mold exposure. Daily celery juice on an empty stomach can help reduce those issues in our body. So being with the high blood pressure, it was so bad, I decided to, you know what? If I can stay away from sugar and keep low stress in my life, I think I might be able to live off of antifungals if I drink celery juice every day as my antifungal medication. So that's what I did. I put that mindset that celery juice is my antifungal medication. I also do blueberry detoxing smoothies, which takes heavy metals out of the body, out of the brain. When heavy metals are in the brain, they attract fungus, candida. So that, in my opinion, largely is what causes dementia. That brain fog is that the body becomes overtaxed in toxins and funguses, candida. Who hasn't suffered from candida in their life? And if you haven't eradicated the candida, it just travels around. If you've been on antibiotics, if you've been under a lot of stress, there are lots of things. And candida is a fungus. Just like valley fever, coccidioidomycosis is a fungus. That's why I have my other Sherry D. Shares Wellness page, because not only these tips that I live by can help us valley fever people, it also helps immune compromised people, be that Hashimoto's, lupus, Lyme's. All that stuff can be controlled by good diet food choices. I'm not saying I'm going to cure you or it will cure you, but you can have far less symptoms if you follow an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So I am just over a year off of meds. I got to fire the infectious disease doctor. Best reason he's ever been fired, because I don't need him anymore. So if I start to feel down or feel like I'm getting a flare up, I will go to my general doctor first and have her test me, because she is very well versed in the valley fever. And then if I need to go back on meds someday because I have another illness or too much stress, I will. I'm not against medication, but I just know that if I can fight it naturally, I'm going to be healthier. So, how long? Okay. How did antifungal medications affect your health? So I've talked a lot about it. The health, it sent my blood pressure too high. Fluconazole affected my health because I was just so muscular, sore all the time. I was in bed most of the time. So that's not good for our health, is to be in bed all the time. But I did try to keep a good mindset and be grateful for the small blessings that I did have in my life. I know too that the fluconazole especially causes extreme dryness. Some people get skin cancer because of being on too much fluconazole, and so that is something I'll be talking to the dermatologist about tomorrow. A few spots that I have, maybe those are residuals from the toxicity of the antifungals I was on for so long. I don't know. I am going to have her test them for fungal too, because my body is still detoxing fungal issues because of my dry brushing, lymphatic stimulation, and my Epsom salt baths. So Epsom salt or any kind of dead sea salt will draw fungal issues out of your body and help cure them, kill the fungus in your skin. So if you have fungal skin issues, eczema, rosacea, give dead sea salt or Epsom sea salt a try. What side effects did you experience? I've talked about that. Extreme fatigue, dry lips, dry nose, dry skin, hair loss. The medications are so brutal on our body. Have you tried any homeopathic remedies? Yes. Like I said, I use celery juice. I use blueberry smoothies. I opt for the organic wild blueberry, which is a tiny, tiny blueberry, which has withstood the test of time. It was from back in ancient days, so you are what you eat. So if this wild blueberry has withstood the test of time, then hopefully you'll be able to withstand the test of time by consuming them. Spirulina is great, also heavy metal detox. We want to get those heavy metals out of our body so the fungus doesn't go and cling to them. So homeopathic remedies, the Epsom salt baths, I can't say enough about. Lymphatic stimulation has got to be part of your routine if you want your immune system to be at peak performance. Research it. I can't say enough about how lymphatic stimulation works. The lymphatic system is our dumping station. So, if you don't want to be a toxic collector, be a toxin dumper, like me. Oregano oil with a carrier, of course. Usually when you buy oregano oil in the health food store, it is with coconut oil, a couple drops under the tongue. I personally like to use also blueberry and kale smoothies. Cruciferous vegetables are very good at killing fungal properties. And let me check this real quick. Ooh, hubby's at the store buying me medicine. Kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. I like to keep coleslaw in my refrigerator. That way I always have a go-to veggie. If we're just having a turkey burger dinner, where I try to opt for it on cabbage or lettuce. I try to avoid the bread, the buns. Breads have yeast and a bunch of toxic stuff in there, emulsifiers and mold agents, because toxic flour grows mold, and so they put chemicals in there so it won't grow mold. Peppermint oil is really good for fungus. Garlic is very good so lots of garlic, lots of chicken broth with kale and celery and carrots and cilantro and I just can't say enough about herbs. Fresh herbs is parsley, oregano, cilantro, and celery. If you look at oregano, parsley, cilantro, and a celery leaf, the leaves are very similar in shape. That's why the celery is just as healing as oregano and parsley and cilantro. Eating it is good. Making the juice is even better because then your body doesn't have to work at breaking down the fiber. It can just absorb all those enzymes and good healing nutrients. It helps raise your potassium level, your magnesium level. It's just all good, which I can't say enough about magnesium. Most every American is depleted in magnesium because it's not in our foods that we eat because the soil's depleted. So having a good magnesium source is very important. Like I said, I do Epsom salt baths. Not everybody has a bathtub. Not everybody can even get in and out of a bathtub. So then getting a good organic, a good source of magnesium transdermal gel is really good. So you can just rub it on your skin and let it soak in that way because the skin is our biggest organ. So remember, if you're putting toxic lotions on your skin, read the back of your lotion. If it's got a list of stuff this long, it's not a good idea to put it on your body. So that is what I use coconut oil. Virgin coconut oil is my moisturizer. I put it on my skin after every bath and after every shower. And if for some reason I didn't shower that day, I use it as my moisturizer. Blueberries, strawberries, any sort of berries. Don't be afraid of fruit. Fruits are very healing. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. Put them in a smoothie with some kale and a banana. The banana helps make it sweet. And I strongly recommend a high energy blender and blend it for a long time. That way it's easier to get down. It's smooth and juicy, not like thick and pasty. So when I have a Vitamix, I invested in a reconditioned Vitamix, so it wasn't $600, it was probably only $300, but that was investing in my health. And so the way that I like to tell people about a good smoothie texture is when it's dancing on the top. It's so funny. People are like, what are you talking about? Your smoothie is dancing. Well, when it's pulsating, it's kind of like just going, and it's just creating this cyclone, down to the blade. It's just, you can see it, it's just kind of blending like this. But once it's blended to a really good consistency, it kind of splashes at the top. And it gets these little peaks where to me, it's dancing. So I like to think of something funny. It makes me happy. So foods can harm or foods can heal. Refined sugar, corn syrup, all that stuff is really, really, really bad for valley fever, or good because it feeds it. So look at, it's bad because but if you refrain from refined sugar, you're going to be healthier. How has valley fever affected your life? This is the second to the last question. We're almost done. Thank you for hanging in with me here to hear my valley fever story. How has valley fever affected your life? It's taught me to put self-care first. I have to put my energy, my stress level, the foods that I put into my body, I have to put myself first. Because as a woman, I'm naturally a nurturer, I'm a doer, I'm a helper. Here, let me help you, let me do that. Oh, I'll do that. Yes, yes, yes. I used to be a yes girl. I can't be a yes girl anymore for my health. So sometimes I have to be I'm sorry, no, I can't girl. And it hurts and it's painful, but I want to get to tomorrow. So sometimes saying no today gets me to tomorrow. So I put self-care first. I put rest first. My husband knew, and I'm very fortunate to have a supportive husband. My husband used to tell me, Sherry, your job is to rest. So he would leave here in the morning at 5:30, kiss me goodbye, your job is to rest. He gets home at 3 o'clock. Sometimes at 3 o'clock, he would get there and find me in the same exact place where he left me at 5:30 that morning, in bed. And I may have gone out of the bedroom once or twice to grab some water or grab some juice or grab some fruit. But resting as our primary job when we are recovering from valley fever is the best thing we can do for ourselves and those that we love. So don't look at yourself as being lazy. Look at yourself as being loving when you're resting. Okay, you're not lazy, you're loving. You're loving yourself and you're loving others because you're taking care of yourself to be there for them tomorrow. How has it affected my life? In so many ways. It affects the people that I allow in my life. That is a hard part of valley fever because sometimes people that are negative, people that are mean, people that are hateful, people that don't respect you have no place in your recovery plan. And it's not an easy choice to make. If people that you are around cause you stress, they cause you sadness, they cause you pain, sometimes you have to make that tough decision to say, you know what, I love you, but you need to be over there, and I need to be here. You live your life, you live your story, I'm going to live my life and my story. It's not easy, and it's a hard choice, but just think, sometimes in life we have to incorporate tough love. Tough love for them, tough love for ourselves. So that is one of the biggest things that valley fever has taught me, that I don't have to be around everybody. I don't have to give my energy to everybody. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to prioritize who's most important in your life. Those are your caretakers, people who understand about your illness and people who support you in your illness, your ups and your downs, your good days and your bad days. That is a big part of recovery. Surround yourself with love. And that's why these groups are so amazing, because you can come in and we're going to give you love. We're going to give you support. We get it. We've been there. We've been through it. And by sharing your story, and I encourage anybody to make a post in this group. Tell us your story. Tell us your successes. We hear a lot of the hardships because that's what we're here for, is to support you and help give you guidance on what's worked for us. But we also want to hear your successes. So On those days when you're celebrating life, come in and tell us about it. Tell us what you did to celebrate your life today. Me, I dance. Even sometimes I stand in one place and I just move my shoulders. I just move my hips. I put a smile on my face and I'm dancing because I need to have joy in my life. I need to have happiness. So, Valley Fever has affected my life by making me embrace every happy moment, every funny moment, every joyful experience. I embrace it and I hold it close to me. Joy and happiness, that's what I focus on. Because sadness and sickness and pain, it hurts. And so I choose to find a pebble of joy every day. A person that loves me, a person that can encourage and inspire me. I seek them out and I embrace them and I bring them into my circle. Your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you are seeking healing and recovery, you're going to find other people that are seeking in recovery also. So remember to surround yourself with happy, healthy people. Even if you're not happy and healthy today, find people who are. Go and watch them. Let their energy rub off on you. Let their happy vibration rub off on you. Comedy is great. If you're feeling sad and you just can't break out of it, sometimes we have those days, watch a comedy. Seek out comedians on YouTube. Find something to laugh about. You know, that I can't say enough for the mindset when it comes to healing your body. Thank you for joining me, Kathy. Thank you for being here and supporting us because we all support each other. How has Valley Fever affected your family? That's the last question on the list. And that is a fantastic question because it's hard on our family members to see us sick. It's hard on our family members to watch us prioritize ourselves as number one. Imagine if you're a mother or a father and you have to put yourself number one before your children. Are they used to that? Usually not. Usually our children are not used to us saying, you know what, I'm a priority and what you are going through or saying to me or your energy that you're putting off is not healthy for me right now. I can't be around this. It's very difficult to do as a parent, but sometimes we have to. And I'm here to tell you, I'm here to support you. If you are a parent that has to put distance between you and a child because of what, or a kid, it doesn't have to be a child, you know, one of your children, one of your offsprings, they could be an adult. If their lifestyle choices or their attitude or their energy vibration is too much for you to handle right now because you need to work on you, I want you to know you have my full support and understanding. I've had to do that along my 8-year path. And I'm grateful to say that my oldest daughter, she understands, she gets it. There was a time in her life where she didn't understand and it was hurtful. It hurt her to have to hear from me, hey, your life situation right now is so stressful. I love you and I'm going to pray for you for recovery and strength to get through it. But right now, I have to remove myself from that energy. And I didn't remove myself from their life. It was just from that moment, from that conversation, you know. So I want you to know I support you and I understand what you're going through. And right now, my youngest daughter, who totally supported me and understood in the beginning of my journey, she's going through her own issues in her life right now where it's not easy for her to understand my need for self-care, my need for saying no to stress, no to negative energy. So it affects relationships. Valley Fever affects relationships, and it's a delicate balance. We all go through them. I guarantee you every person in this group can probably say, yes, this relationship has been affected by my illness. That relationship has been affected by my illness. And I'm not going to discount the people in my life that it's affected because that's their story and their journey. Their journey is like, wow, my mom's been infected with this deadly illness. That affects them. And I understand that emotion, and I acknowledge it. But sometimes I don't have the energy to deal with it. So finding those moments of happiness in relationships can be challenging. And we all deal with them. And so I say thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being in the group. Thank you for posting your successes and your challenges, because it lets us know we're not alone. And feeling support through this illness can be the biggest part in your recovery. Find people who are doing well. Listen to those stories. Don't just focus on the people who are newly diagnosed, because they're suffering and it's painful. Be a light for them to go, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, this is what I did to help. This is what got me through. Because through recovery, support sometimes is everything. Think about cancer survivors, cancer patients. They have a plethora of support. They have so many resources that they can go to out in society that will give you free care. If you're going through cancer, you get free gym memberships, you get free counseling, you get free monetary. There's so much out there for cancer survivors, cancer patients. And when you're dealing with valley fever, it's much like you're dealing with cancer. It's an illness that invades the body and kills off tissues, creates nodules and nodes. And think about it. We are like cancer survivors. So give yourself a big pat on the back if you're sur-thriving like me. I choose to sur-thrive through this illness. I'm not going to let it get me down. It does, but I go and I give it a swift kick in the butt, and I stay away from my sugars, and I get my rest, and I do my baths, and I do my lymphatic stimulation to be thriving. That's why I share, because the tiniest little things, one little tip, an Epsom salt bath 3 or 4 days a week, that one little tip can give you amazing amounts of energy because of the magnesium that it's giving your body. And the salt kills off skin fungus, so it's a win-win. So I encourage you all, share your story with me, with others, when you're out and about, with your family members. Share your story. But try to remember, at the end of that story, find the blessing. Find something to be joyful about. Even if it's, you know what, I am grateful and I am joyful that I have a soft, comfortable bed to rest in. Yes, I'm very grateful for my soft, comfy bed. And I'm very grateful for my bathtub, because I do get to do my Epsom salt baths. And I'm grateful for every amount of education that I have been exposed to in the last 8 years. It's brought me where I am today. And I'm just here to share, and hopefully somebody can feel better by even just one tip that I share. So if you have tips that will help for you, feel free to share them in the group, please, and share your story. And if you share your story on any public forum, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, if it's a public forum, if you would like to add hashtag Faces of Valley Fever, that is what this question video has been attached to, Faces of Valley Fever. This is a closed group, so I will not be hashtagging it, but I am going to do this same video answering the same question over on my public Valley Fever recovery support page, because I like to put information on that page because y'all can share it into the other groups or with people that you've met. So I have been slowly building up that page. I just started a couple weeks ago. So I've got the 3 pages. Sherry D Shares, which is a public wellness page sharing all sorts of wellness tips for any sorts of illness, self-care, mind, body, soul. That's public, shareable. And then there is now a Valley Fever recovery fungal support page that's public, so I can post stuff there and share. So share away, share your stories, inspire somebody else. And if you need inspiration, be sure to grab it. Come here, talk to us, ask us, put a question in the group, and you will get support. Okay, so thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening, and please share your story. Bye-bye.